Welcome back to Afternoon Live. We know Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD, is a long-term condition affecting the brain, but research is also showing connections between ADHD and other physical issues with the body. Here to explain more, we welcome back ADHD Educator Sheila Henson. It is so nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, too.
So there are multiple physical issues that may have some kind of correlation to ADHD?
Yeah, a significant amount, and people get very surprised. I mean, we know that with ADHD, it affects the body in ways like we're a little more fidgety and we need more movement and more stimulation, but it can also be tied to certain conditions such as histamine issues, dysautonomia, chronic migraines, hormonal issues, and hypermobility.
And those are things that can be kind of difficult to decipher for a lot of people, so it's helpful to know that the connection is there, and maybe that could help you on your own health journey. Tell me about hypermobility specifically. How would someone know if this applies to them?
Well, the first thing is if you're super flexible,
Right.
that's like a good hint. However, you don't have to be super flexible to be hypermobile, because it's actually a mobility of the joints, of the collagen, of the connective tissue, and not necessarily of the muscles. So you might have very tight muscles, but bendy joints. And so you might end up later on having chronic joint pain, arthritis, fibromyalgia is a big diagnosis that then later gets seen as hypermobility.
Right, because hypermobility, I think a lot of us would go, oh, you're flexible, what's wrong with that? But like you said, there are other things in the long term that could be kind of dangerous to our bodies.
Absolutely, and so that's why it's so important for us to do strength training, actually, to like protect the joint with our muscles is kind of the main treatment for that.
So let's say you're a parent or a trusted adult of a kid who's hypermobile. What is something to talk about with their doctors and other caregivers to make sure you're setting them up with the right tools?
Yeah, if your kid is ADHD or autistic and they're showing any kind of differences in their joints, I would absolutely start talking to doctors who find doctors that actually know about hypermobility, and then going to physical therapists and also going to trainers, like going to strength trainers who actually specialize in hypermobility can be extremely helpful, as well as just talking to doctors and doing preventative measures.
And for adults, right, we're talking about New Year fitness goals. People should be careful about not jumping into a super intense fitness routine if this applies to them as well.
Yes, because with hypermobility, we can injure ourselves much more easily. And so we have to learn sort of different techniques for exercise and to not overdo it. And one of the things that can also kind of come with ADHD is they call it post-exertional malaise, where after you get exercise, you get very tired and very exhausted, which might make people not want to exercise anymore, which we don't want. We want people moving, right? And so that's also something they should be talking to their doctor about.
When it's interesting too, when you think about the executive function, that can be really tough when ADHD is in the picture, and that can make it hard for people to take care of themselves, right? So it's kind of a vicious cycle of you got to move your body, you got to get the resources, but it can be hard to kind of get over the hurdle of doing it in the first place.
100%, and that's where those other supports come in, like finding a coach like myself or a therapist, or just a buddy, like an accountability buddy is so important, because just getting yourself to do the thing, sometimes just getting yourself to eat 3 meals a day can be difficult with ADHD, with that executive dysfunction. So definitely getting support when you need it, because those things, making sure you're eating, you're sleeping, you're moving your body, those things are going to not only affect your body health, your physical health, your pain in the future, but also your mental health, how your brain functions, your focus, all of those things.
It's all connected,
It's
right?
all connected, yeah.
Tell me about some of the work that you're doing to share this knowledge, because you've got a great webinar coming up that people could take advantage of. Yes,
it's called ADHD Body Basics, but it also applies to autistic bodies, because a lot of these things are tied to both. And I'm teaching it with Laura Barato, who is an ADHD autistic exercise physiologist and trainer. And we go through, I talk more about how to overcome the executive functioning humps and how to do some like tips and tricks for how to make yourself do the things that you need to do. And then Laura talks about how to protect your body and actually goes through some exercises that you can do to help protect your body if you have a hypermobile body, and how to make sure that exercise is fun and enjoyable, because we know, especially with ADHD, if it's not fun, we're not going to do it.
Right. I think a lot of us can relate. Well, I imagine you probably see some great transformation in people when they do have the resources and support they need to get to a healthier place to take care of themselves. I mean, it could really open a different path of life for them.
100%. Our executive functioning is so tied to our bodies feeling safe. And some way to tell your body that it's safe is to just do the things that bodies are supposed to be doing. Eat, sleep, move, right? And being with other people that you feel safe with. And so when I see people starting to take care of their bodies in all of the different ways, through nutrition, through movement, through just going to doctors, because sometimes people they don't want to do that, then I start to see differences in every aspect of their life, from their room being more clean, to them succeeding more at work, to succeeding more in their relationships, controlling that emotional regulation piece that's so big. Everything gets better.
It's so encouraging to hear that all this help and support is out there, and we really appreciate you coming by and sharing with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me talk about this.
See you again, of course. Okay, we will have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.